to take their rightful position in the society as agents of change by being tenacious in their professional careers. This was a submission by various speakers at the first Roundtable Business Lunch by Women in Management, Business and Public Service in Abuja. Abdullahi Garba again reports.
Like the theme of the Roundtable, Straight from the Heart, it was an interactive forum where the women opened up and shared experiences. Minister of Communication Technology Omobola Johnson and former chairman Federal Inland Revenue Services led other discussions on issues affecting women in management, business and public service. How to strike a balance between family issues and leadership, setting goals and trust were some of the issues touched.
Believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself, develop the skills to be able to do what you need to do. Have a network, build a network that will help you pursue your goals. Stay focused on your goal and follow through.
We are women, we are born leaders, we should stick to it. We should not try to be men, but we should be women. What we know to do, we should continue to do it with integrity, with passion, and at the end of the day, we'll succeed.
Women in Management, Business and Public Service is a non-governmental organization formed in 2002. It identifies issues concerning women in workplaces and in business.
We must ensure that women are constantly motivated, they are constantly inspired, and they will reach their full potential to be change agents and make the difference that we need to make, especially in Nigeria.
In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba, NTA News.
On choosing your battles rightly, and when you talked about resilience and tenacity, how long do you keep at it before you tell yourself, okay, this is a losing battle and fight it anyway?
Particularly being a leader in the home. Because at some point mentoring other people, that's the question.
We'll take my name is Teresa Competensity, and you need to see what trust does in the work environment. Because if, for instance, you build a circle of people you think that you trust to deliver on issues and they fail you once, twice, I think it's a very big thing. Because when you begin to imagine that these people you think are the ones you have, you don't have them, it's kind of shattering. So
I think the issue of timing is personal to the individual. Some people can go on an issue for 5 years, or 10, on a goal they want, and it's only until then they may decide to give up, or they may actually achieve what they want. For some people it's 6 months. I think it's all situational and contextual. It depends on you. But one thing I can tell you is listen to your body. That's my experience. If your body is ready to continue, you're fine. If you've tried everything else and your body is telling you no, then you need to start thinking again. So for me, it's a combination of so many things. I don't think there's a cookie cutter response to the question. I think you determine for how long you want to go on. You determine, and a lot depends on the goal also. For the individual, a particular goal, you may be a lot more resilient. And for some, in fact, some goals, you may never give up. I mean, it's like telling you to give up on your child. Can you ever? Should you ever? So it's all dependent on the goal. And for some people, certain goals are not just that important. It's just as important as not giving up on your child. So I think that's, you determine that. But I think the real message, however, is that experience has shown, my experience has shown, others' experience have shown is, because even what we're saying requires another discussion. Which battles? You understand? I mean, we can go into discussions and that will take a long time. But really understanding that the general concept. Choose your battle. There are some battles that in a particular situation at a particular time, it may not take you too far. But there are certain battles that we take, remember the focus is on your goal, not on the battle. And so you define those hurdles, because even the determination of what is a battle is yours. It's your problem, not somebody else's problem. You've defined it. So if you've made somebody else's problem your problem, you have not defined it as your problem. So if you have not defined it as your problem, then that's nothing, it's not a problem. Because I've seen situations, and let me just use examples, where for some people, coming into the public sector is a problem. For me, it wasn't a problem. So you determine what your battles are. And I may have chosen in working in the public sector that, look, for me, it's about the process. I'm just getting the process right. And for me, for as long as I believe in the process, there will never be a time where I'll give up on process. I hope it's clearer in that regard. So in that context, I hope if you need more on that, we can discuss further. Maybe I need somebody to identify the hurdles because I don't see them. Sorry, who asked the question? Sylvia. Yeah, what are the problems? So that I can relate my mind from certain problems. So I don't even see them as problems. So for me to be able to answer your question, you need to tell me.
You have goals to meet. You have, and maybe a goal is to attend as a wife, you're meant to be with your husband. Maybe that,
okay.
or that the children also need to get some things done. You have exams. At the workplace, you also miss some of the targets that you set for yourself.
Okay, can I ask you a question, please? National Assembly is calling you. You need to, it's calling you. You need to, President says you need to meet him. How do you manage that?
I don't want to be away from there for too long.
No, I hear you. What I'm trying to say is that if we look at it only, that's all I'm saying. And it's tough, first of all. Now to be here, maybe easier on him to understand, and he will now say, no problem. Because he's to document, do a story by this memoirs. And my husband, those guys are not around. He's going to take us, so now understood. I said, okay, can we discuss with this guy? Okay? But where I am now is they've now met. So be juggling. What I'm going to next, sometimes you may have to give. It makes, all the time. It's a trade-off. Now, trust. I said I don't have to trust myself. I said it's not about you. It's about you don't achieve the goals. I get somebody else to do it. It's not personal. And I think sometimes when we're discussing trust, there's a tendency to focus on certain people. Believe me. So when I look you in the eye, I love you, but it's fine, no problem. And because of that, what you now find them know you for that. And so the example you gave, I'm saying this because the example you gave seemed to us on the process that generates the people. And always check that today it may not work today because there's a better way of doing it. And let me just give you some processes within an organization. If you meddle with that, that's the beginning of distrust. Another process is how you reward is the pat on the back, the recognition in public. That is not the credit. I remember in a discussion, the problem somebody has was with another person was, this person doesn't give me credit. He always thinks I'm the one, he always thinks he's the one that does it. So that was important to the person. So some people think, oh, take this money and say, no. Do you disengage in a fair manner? Are there clear criteria in a manner that people feel trust and focus? The outcome will be a trusting environment.
I think we really do have a big challenge these days because you can have all of the criteria you've mentioned, and the tendency we seem to have in Nigeria today is somebody works with you a few months, takes everything you have in your business and sets up business next door. And it's really a tough one. And the person just, no matter how fair you've treated, I have experienced it, that one is school in Port Harcourt. No matter how fair you've been, they take, and they don't really stop there, they start telling people about the challenges you have in your system or all sorts of stories just to make sure they move your customers. So again, please introduce yourself. My name is Honorable Mrs. Betty Abiafi. I'm a member of the House of Representatives. Thank you.
I've been looking at myself coming from a private sector background to the public sector. Although I spent a lot more time in the public sector, sometimes I look at myself and I ask myself if I'm strange. Thank you for making me understand that I'm not strange. Like what you said, because like you said, a lot of the things you said today, they drove home the fact for me that one needs to have one's goal and also always to raise the bar. And then, like you said, success really gives a higher, it gives one a higher energy and their weaknesses, and you work with everybody. And when you do, what I've found is that with every team that I have worked with, people always wonder why they're loyal. Those women who have risen to high positions, they look at us as bitches because you insist that things need to get done right, but to go on for another 10 years.
Thank you. I want to take the lady right.
Succeed, especially with an older and male-dominated executive team. And the second question following from that, so what has been your own personal style for leading such teams?
Anyway, I wanted to talk to Ms. Sylvia there. I think what Ifeko spoke this morning, and what the art of management of how to really conquer, that is the resilience and the tendency she's talking about
today. And say that I very much agree with you that we focus too much on the position rather than the impact or the actual results of.
Say anything that would suggest that corruption is not an issue. I said, let's not talk about it. Let's deal with it. Because we spend a lot of energy talking about it. Now, again, the question you've asked is, how do we tackle a sick society, is that a system? Sick system. Now, maybe first of all, because, let me tell you me, again, I will all be different, but since I'm the one being asked the question, I'll talk about it from the perspective I look at it. I think first of all, I will try and avoid determining that the system is sick. I would not even think, because I think for me, what I do is depending on what I think. I won't think about the problem as being sick. I would rather say that we have a huge challenge. And I would say, and in defining that challenge is to recognize that it's extremely pervasive. I remember a lecture I gave at the University of Jos some 2-3 years ago. And talk about the issue. So it's to step back and remember what I said. You can't fight all the battles. I may decide to fight some, you may decide to fight some. So I'm just saying in every aspect of society, who we are, whether it's home, family, school, church, about private sector, is not, it's everywhere. And first of all, we need to appreciate it, that it's everywhere. There may even be a cultural dimension to it, I don't know. For me, at some point, maybe research will be something I'll be interested in to understand certain things that we do and why we do them. Let me give one, for example. You want to go for a wedding. We distribute our shebi. The next week will be long. So it's, look, this is a discussion for another day, because the institutions are not just government institutions, they are family institutions, they are societal institutions, it's everywhere. But believe me, at the end of the day, it starts with each and every one of us here. And that is where I like to leave it. The other, maybe what has helped me is that I actually grew up in a male-dominated family. I'm the only girl. And something about being the only girl, only girls here will tell you, there's a tendency to be a tomboy. There's a tendency to think the way men do and not quite appreciate the way. In fact, honestly, quite frankly, sometimes I'm a bit uncomfortable with women. I'm just being honest, because I don't know how to converse, or, sometimes I wonder what it would have been to have a sister. So whatever I tell you is going to be based on those my limitations, because I am limited. Now, what I've learned is that, and it's interesting, Dr. Charan said a leader is not a loner. It helps to be part of the network. So if we go into a male-dominated system and think of yourself as a woman, you've automatically removed yourself out. So and like I said, I'm thinking, because I'm saying to myself, what do I do? Not that I'm doing it like consciously, deliberately, but I know one thing I do is they can say any joke in my presence. Okay? And what that does, it makes them comfortable. Now, when I say any joke, I'm sure there's some jokes they won't say even in some other men's presence. So, I mean, it's not to that, to that extent. But there has to be a level of camaraderie between you and the others, that you are part of them. Just like in a team, because again, if you think of it, because I don't think men, women. So in terms of my personal style, so I'm trying to figure out what it is I'm actually doing. But I don't think men, women. I just think I'm just part of the team. Now, the other thing that I've also realized, and perhaps as a skill, I've increasingly realized that men carry more egos on their sleeves than women do. It's important to them, and you have to recognize it. And that's why, again, I'm going back to this issue of choosing your battles. So if the man likes the ego, what's your problem? Why would you be fighting if that's what makes him happy? But what you do, stay focused on. So I think that I don't take too much time.
If you're not an AB, which is in Yoruba, it's a relative. If you're not an AB, you don't have to take it. Number two, if you don't take it, nothing will happen. And all the money that you save, just put it away. So the 10,000 this week, 20,000 next week, at the end of the year, you'll be amazed how much you have saved. So that's just some advice of somebody. I can't remember who it was. Give us that advice.
If I know that you were changed, so what I want to find out from you is how much of your time did you dedicate to that? Reason why I ask this is that in the government setting, obviously, there's some things that time, the percentage of time that you require things that women.
Corruption. Scratch the word 6%. I'm going to use the word challenging environment. I started my business, second job. We think about corruption and think about the system. What do we do in a situation like this? I have to survive to play ball.
Maybe 80-90%. It is that important. I don't think we have ever achieved anything without consensus building. And consensus building takes time. But let me tell you also something about consensus building that I learned.
Didn't ask anything. And then she comes to you, would you be willing to assist? Of relationships. Now going back to your question, because what are you doing? You're building consensus within. The message you are talking about is different from what they hear when they go back to their offices. You're building. Imagine when you didn't have the license to choose your own board. But you have to build public service as opposed to private. Private, the first steps are all over again. Because then you know you don't have consensus.
Consensus building where in the night, in the daytime. I wasn't building of all your stakeholders. It's not possible.
So those members of the entire team. And so the lesson I learned in the processes like that is more issues of relevance, recognition, than money. Of dealing, some other person will say, no. I'm still going to do litigation. I'm going to have to see how I'm going to change the system, blah, blah, blah. Others to set up, look, the other day I was in Lagos and I needed to empty.
But everything was subject to
if I am not called by the minister or by the president or some other competing event. Anyway, to cut the long story short, we are delighted that you've attended. We're delighted that we've shared experiences, and this is the way it always goes. There are a lot of young women out there looking. The World Bank came out with a report. Women are the third people. They are saying that to us, and we must grapple and do something about it. They're throwing it at our faces. So we must get challenged. We must focus. If we can use that word over 100 times a day, we must have goals. We don't even recognize the good in us, the best in us, the potential in us. And WIMBIZ says we are here to be the catalyst that elevates the status and influence of women and their contribution to nation building. Did you hear me? Yes. Yeah. The status and influence of women and our contribution to nation building. We have to, our efforts, our children, what will they look up to? What will they live for? We send them abroad, they're going to come back. Everybody is coming home. If we call myself, all of us, we all interview them every day. You just came back, didn't you? What drove you back? You wanted to come and serve, right? And then many more. For the Roundtable lunch in Abuja to continue depends on you. You will decide whether to do it on a quarterly basis or on a monthly basis.
Before I leave the microphone, we've been going round and round the word trust. I think trust is not what you can acquire overnight. Trust is not what you can force anybody to have in you. It is something you build over time. If you have structure and process, like she said, over time, people will earn their own trust. And then you will earn people's trust. It's a two-way thing. Trust.
What are the challenges facing women in business and public service, and what are the ways?
I believe that the challenges facing women in business and public service, first of all, that's a very interesting question because I actually don't think of people as women or men. I just think that everybody faces one challenge or the other, and each person's challenge is different from the other. So in that sense, when you now ask that question, what are the challenges facing women? Maybe if I'm to put on that hat, perhaps the fact that some men may not recognize the role women should play in the organization. Perhaps you have a lot of sexual harassment in the workplace and you don't have policies and processes that fit into that. Perhaps the recognition that the woman has to believe in herself, because sometimes you get distracted by others and how they feel about you without recognizing that it really doesn't matter. More important is how you think about yourself, what you want to achieve, and staying focused on it.
What are the things the woman should do to wipe out those challenges?
Like I said, first of all, you have to believe in yourself and build the required competencies to do whatever it is you want to do. It's very important that you know who you are. It's very important. But I say this is it's applicable to both women and men. I mean, so I really wouldn't differentiate between a woman and a man, because these are skills that will help anybody. Believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself, develop the skills to be able to do what you need to do. Have a network, build a network that will help you pursue your goals. Stay focused on your goal and follow through to ensure you achieve all you want to achieve.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Business Roundtable is important at this point in time. What message do you want to pass to the women?
The Roundtable is important because we must continuously keep women engaged. And we know that to get women to gather at a forum like this is not easy, because we're juggling and there are competing events to deal with. So we thought, okay, come to Lagos. We have been holding this in Lagos since 2006 on a monthly basis. Every first Thursday of every month, there's a WIMBIZ Roundtable lunch going on. And the women of Abuja have been yearning for this for many, many years. And we decided that, okay, take the bull by the horn, because the central bankers in particular, the women have been coming every year to our conferences, and they come 20, 25 of them. And they also want to engage. At this roundtable, we discuss women issues. We discuss issues that affect the women both in business, in management, and in the public sector.
What impact do you want to make on the woman?
The impact we want to make on the woman now is, this is the time to arise. We are the third emerging economy after China and India. We mustn't lose at this critical time. We must ensure that women are constantly motivated, they are constantly inspired, and they will reach their full potential to be change agents and make the difference that we need to make, especially in Nigeria. Before I even start talking about Africa or global, there's still a lot of work Nigerian women need to arise and get done. And we can get it done with the support of our male, with the support of our husbands, with the support of our brothers, with the support of our male leaders. Because after all, right, we are the ones making all the decisions on a daily basis for the men to thrive. So if we make the decisions for the men to thrive, why are we not thriving? What are the barriers? What is limiting us? Some of them are self-imposed. We see ourselves as second fiddle. We see ourselves as the softer sector. We see ourselves as a woman that cannot compete. That shouldn't be the case.
Full name?
My full, Adiola Aziz. I'm the chairperson of Women in Management, Business and Public Service. And I also am the Deputy Managing Director for Deutsche Bank in Nigeria. WIMBIZ is the go organization to be for women who want to succeed in Nigeria, women who want to aspire and be leaders of tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you.
What is the central message you want to pass to women in business and public service?
Thank you very much. I would like to tell women that they should just hold on to their beliefs. We are women. We are born leaders. We should stick to it. We should not try to be men, but we should be women. What we know to do, we should continue to do it with integrity, with passion, and at the end of the day, we'll succeed.
What are the challenges you bring up generally?
Yeah, generally, women are a bit suspicious of one another. That is to be expected. But if we can earn one another's trust, if we know that definitely people will disappoint you, so you don't look at that disappointment. If you have the central desire to build up other women, you won't look at the disappointments, you will continue to encourage them. If one disappoints you, the others will not disappoint. And at the end of the day, if you see only one woman stand, you have succeeded. Thank you. I am Tokwe Omage. I work for the Central Bank.
can you share with us some of the benefits you get from this roundtable?
Well, it was a wonderful event to be able to attend and to be able to see women who are both empowered and both very excited about taking actionable steps to improve the country, to improve the status of women, and just to improve business in general. And I feel as though, as a young lady, as a young woman, it's very important to have mentors and to have examples that we can follow.
Full name?
Oh, my full name, Chinaya Oko. Is that your question?
Okay.
I think it's going to have a great impact on most of the ladies you see here as well as the ladies out. As the coordinator rightly said, this event had been happening in Lagos, and we have quite a lot of number of women leaders in Abuja. Now we need to have a kind of network opportunity where we can share experiences and build strength amongst the women folk in Abuja. So this is quite a milestone achievement.
What lesson would you say you have learned from this?
The one lesson I have learned actually is, for every successful woman, she has to stop thinking as a woman, but rather as a human being. And she must be able to manage the home and the career together. Because women, as the discussion had gone through, has leadership position, whether at home or in the office or any work.